All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Fairley, and you guys are attending Ascent Fabrication's first live through YouTube Fabrication Friday. Anyone who watches this during it or afterward, I really encourage you to comment below or on one of our social media pages on LinkedIn or Instagram, Instagram at Ascent Fab, and let us know kind of what you would also like to see in some future live events. Again, this is going to be a very off-the-cuff, fun half hour here every Friday from now on, from noon to 12:30 Eastern Time, as we are in beautiful Saratoga Springs, New York, upstate New York. And we'll be bringing you guys some content about 3D printing in general, some tips and tricks if you're doing it in-house with different printers. There's a huge push right now in our field to, in the prosthetics and orthotics field, to really start utilizing some of the newer softwares and printers that are out there. So we can help you guys get set up and running in-house or through central fabrication, which is what we primarily provide at Ascent Fab. So at the day-to-day operations, we take in work orders from all across the country and look at the 3D scan data that a certified prosthetist orthotist might take. We assess it for being viable. What is a good scan? In these talks here, we'll talk about what a good scan would look like, as well as kind of looking at those clinical needs that your patient is going to incur, whether it's an in-office visit or an out-of-office visit. We do have temporary devices as well as long-term devices as well, some definitives for prosthetics and soon-to-be orthotics through a couple different avenues. So we'll get into that very soon here, possibly next week. And so we're going to kind of go through, again, who am I? Who's Joe Fairley? What's Ascent Fab? Just a quick introduction here. I am a certified prosthetist, board-eligible orthotist. My background is in physics, exercise science, and a master's in prosthetics and orthotics from Northwestern University. Thank you to all my Northwestern professors. They really, did a very nice job with setting up that program, and I can only be eternally thankful for their insight during that program. So with that background, I did a residency in prosthetics down in Savannah, Georgia. And then my orthotics residency up here in Saratoga Springs, New York. Worked in a clinical role for about a year and a half after those two residencies. Worked with kind of 3 separate companies actually during that time. And so I've seen kind of the gambit in a short amount of time from a private clinic in a hospital-based setting with the national clinic that is very well known across the country, Hanger Clinic, separately as a second company. And then the third company I was with, another separate, smaller organization, more local to upstate New York here. And so I've kind of seen the bigger aspects of what types of clinics there could be, what their different needs would be in terms of central fabrication services for prosthetics and orthotics. And I'm applying my computer programming backgrounds with CAD design as well for over 7 years into now having those applications be more clinically driven. So I used 3D scanning through the Comb app when I was a clinician here in upstate New York. For a little over a year and a half, I saw some great outcomes with the Comb scanner just off your iPhone 10 or newer. Those guys are great to work with. We do suggest their 3D scanner for almost all of our applications. As we've seen, it's very, very accurate for prosthetics and orthotics. There's a whole myriad of different scanners that are out there right now, and a lot of them are very usable, but some might be better used for different instances. So just depending on your application of what you're looking to do, we have some different suggestions for 3D scanners. When we talk about the 3D printers as well, there's again a whole different level of the more so tinkering stage up to more industrial type printing, right? We'll get more into those different types of printing as we move on in this Fabrication Friday series. But to talk about kind of how we utilize some 3D printers in-house, to show you here, we do have the PVA Med Emergence Pro 3D printer, primarily set up for test sockets. PVA Med is within upstate New York here in Half Moon. They do a very, very nice job of setting up a very almost turnkey solution for test socket devices. So that would be one application for their 3D printer. They've got a very nice build volume of about 2 feet. It can print quite a few more materials though. And if you'd like to get into that, we have some certain ways that we'd like to go about that with you. Because obviously, we've kind of set up our printer to work with these different materials a little differently. So this printer here right now is printing one of our Foam Flex Air flexible inner sockets. So one of those flexible inner sockets here, this would be one for a Symes amputee. Extremely flexible, and we can program in design cushion areas directly over any kind of bony anatomy that you'd be looking to. This one has been specifically stovepiped so that we can have an outer frame that's going to be printed for this for an in-house clinic visit for a kind of test socket primarily. The patient will put on the flexible inner socket first over their limb, and then they'll step into that test socket to walk around the clinic, make sure they get the dynamic alignment correct, and take a look at any other modifications that might be necessary. This weighed in at just over 300 grams today, exceptionally light. There is a little bit of a matte surface finish to it, but again, very lightweight, extremely functional. We've been getting some great feedback from some of our clinicians that we've partnered with here at Bionic Prosthetics and Orthotics out of the Midwest. They've done a wonderful job with us to work a lot with these sockets. So thank you to them for helping kind of go back and forth and collaborate with us. And yeah, we're looking forward to newer applications. We recently did a partial foot prosthesis through POA down here in lower New York. And we're looking again for other applications for this awesome material. So that would just be one consideration for you if you're looking for you've got a patient who's got a really bony anatomy and you need something a little bit different. That's not quite the standard fabrication that you've gone by in the past. So we can again design any cushioned areas over the limb, and we just work very closely with our customers to do so. Let's talk about just general test sockets. So through the PVA Med printer, we can get one wall thickness, exceptionally clear material here. You can see blanching of the skin directly through the socket. I'm quite far away from the computer here showing the screen, and you can still see my hand through it. So very, very clear material for PETG. Durable enough for an in-house office visit. But we would suggest still fiberglass wrapping these if you will go outside of the office with it. I have put out patients on a 4mm wall PETG test socket before. The 4mm wall socket is the only thickness test socket that we actually provide. And if you're going to do an out-of-office visit like that, it's going to be around maybe 3 to 4 weeks, relatively speaking, before you're going to see any kind of breakage happen. But the breakage is going to be catastrophic breakage, typically back around the trim lines and kind of going at a diagonal down. If you're going to fiberglass, wrap it at least halfway. That's what I've done in the past. Again, you could have this patient go out of office with it, but we have other materials for out of office visits that would be a little bit more appropriate. So let's take a look at that. Firstly, we have half a socket. Sometimes we've got a couple of our samples out to some of our awesome customers, taking a look at different ways that we can integrate sockets. So currently we have half a socket of polypropylene from PP Print, our partner in Germany. They have really come up with a nice turnkey solution for printing polypropylene on almost every printer that you see right here. I've printed on all 3 printers with their polypropylene, and with their surface, their polypro, and then their support material as well. Extremely easy to print with, and just very, very slight warping. If you take a look at the distal end here, you might see a little bit of rounding on the very edges. Again, exceptionally good adhesion properties and very low warping from what we've seen. So this would be slightly flexible. Okay, we are seeing a little bit of flex there. So that would be a little bit of a consideration if you're going to fit one of these sockets. They might be a little bit more flexible, even at a 4 millimeter wall thickness. We can integrate any distal componentry that you're looking to integrate. So here we have just simple barrel nuts that have been designed for a hole inside this design. We have gone away from this design just slightly, but again, that's something that could likely be done with the right design parameters. Or if we take a look at the PETG test socket again, there would be a space for, so let's say, a Bulldog lock, the typical Bulldog 3 Gen A lock that a lot of people use. We can design that into here. We can have support structures that go on the outside, PVA meds, walk strong socket. Does a nice job of that. And we also have our own reinforcement structures we can add to it. But we can also integrate any componentry. So we've done Oser's Ice Lock 214 before. We've done the VIP pump and plate, and also starting to get into our own componentry as well. So if we take a look at the new Ascent Fab suction cushion, this was one that I kind of did a short little intro to on LinkedIn earlier this week. So this is a TPU cushion, slightly flexible, conical shape coming into the center with a hole for airflow for suction, and then a sealing ring that goes around the outside. With some holes for barrel nuts to go into, and your typical 4-hole pattern on the bottom here. So this would go into the bottom of one of our sockets. We would end up probably drilling out the holes here first, which we have a nice 5-hole pattern jig to place over the distal end, and then get your exact 4-hole drilling location with your right orientation. So we can include this with your test socket or other socket if you'd like. Once we drill out some of those holes, we might have that suction cushion go down into the socket here. And with a little push, we have that down into the socket now. So it gets the contour of the distal limb. This has been one area which, again, if we're talking about different types of printing for different applications, having a structure down here to be able to get that nice distal limb shape is pretty crucial for a suction socket, right? So you could end up fitting a socket non-weight bearing that we could do with the exact topography of the patient's limb. Then you're setting up that socket onto a 4-hole lamination plate with the typical, gunk that we like to go by here in the field, and then fiberglass wrap that as well. That could always be an opportunity. But if you're looking to have kind of an all-in-one solution and build height really isn't a concern, having this piece in there kind of simplifies things, and you can drill and screw right up into the bottom of this socket. Yeah, so that's one solution that we're working on for suction sockets. So this other material that we would like to introduce too is the Ascent Fab heavy duty material, if you will, for more so preparatory sockets like the polypropylene, which would be good for a preparatory socket as well. But this material is much more stiff. I mean, I'm really trying to squeeze this. It's not going anywhere. Still 4 millimeters thick, and again, can integrate with any distal componentry. This is going to be a much more rigid socket than polypropylene, so different applications for a more rigid socket. We have now had patients on this socket for over 8 months, so we can definitely say that we would like to have a patient go out for maybe about 6 months, without having any worry of any wear or tear to the socket, to the material. Again, always exercising caution when you're allowing a patient to go out into the real world with any new device as well. But that's again where our knowledge of design into 3D printing kind of comes into play, so that at the end of the day you're getting a quality device that you can send somebody home with. One socket that we do not have an example of today would be a definitive socket. And I'd like to say that we can provide definitive sockets through with PA11 material. I showed a video of that as well on some of our social media feeds, so we can put a link to that here in the comments afterward. But that does have a little bit more flex to it. We can design that for any componentry that you would want to, but that would be more of a definitive prosthetic socket that you would end up seeing from us. So a bunch of different colors, a smooth surface finish for that. Again, get in touch with us to explore some of those opportunities now, and really see what that material and that 3D printing process can do. I'm going to talk a little bit more about these covers. We've done a lot of development with our covers recently. I'll be upfront and honest. Some of our covers have not worked that well right in the beginning. We're trying to have a better attachment to the prosthesis. We've tried a couple different ways. We do have some magnet closures that are working out fairly well with an attachment to the pylon. And so that's what the PP print covers are going to be used for. So these are, again, PP prints polypropylene, really nice, again, kind of flexible material. And we can design certain patterns and shapes etched into the actual cover itself. This will be fully released through a little bit more development here very, very shortly. But if you're interested in one of these polypropylene covers, please reach out to us and let us know. We've got a nice magnet closure for the pylon, and then another half would magnetize to this in order to have the full cover. Checking out the nice blue color here from, again, PP print. Again, showing the flexibility, really nice durable cover. We're not going to have really any concerns with this, breaking over the long term. So PP Print, we also resell their filament. So if you're looking to print with polypropylene in your office, please get in contact with us to look at different opportunities to print with that material in-house. We can work with you one-on-one, come on site, and actually teach you exactly the ways that we would 3D print that material, and make sure that you have more, again, a turnkey solution, so that you're not worrying about print settings and things failing and having to go through the troubleshooting process. We've gone through all that for you. So, there has been, again, a big push in our field to start to understand 3D printing and get to know more about the background of what 3D printing is, how do we set things up to 3D print. And that's certainly valuable information to have, because as a clinician fitting these devices on people, you want to make sure that they actually function as well as you think they're going to. So working with Ascent Fabrication, you have no worries in terms of the actual designs that are coming to you. They've been vetted through clinical processes as well as research and development engineering processes to make sure that these devices are going to work well for you. We've done the heavy lifting back end of figuring out print settings for certain materials. So let us, really kind of help coach you through that if you would like to print in-house. Or also if you're, a busy clinician seeing patients, and that is your passion of seeing patients and what we all kind of went to school for as well, put those clinical hands to good use and help us translate that clinical sense to the digital sense. We can work with you with clinical modifications through a couple of different softwares that we have experience with, and let us, do some of the printing for you. So you don't have to worry about those devices being made. Some devices are even printed overnight. So we do have a good plug and play solution for a lot of different levels of enthusiasts, we'll say, for 3D printing. But so now let's take a look at some of the different things being printed right now. Our Raise 3D Pro 3 Plus is not currently printing anything, but we do print a lot of the PP print material on this machine. It does have two different extruding heads, one for the support material, one for the polypropylene, and that works out quite well. Looking over at, again, this is live and off the cuff, folks, so we're going to move it around. Looking at the PVA Med Emergence Pro, printing some of our Foam Flex material there for a below-knee prosthetic socket, flexible inner socket, having some cushioned area right over the distal tibia, which you can see there that it's printing a semi-hollow space for. Coming around, taking a look at the FL Sun Super Racer, which has actually just printed one of our suction cushions in about 2 hours and 25 minutes for that. Again, that's a TPU material that's going to be very durable for that application. Here's our Mark-forged Mark II printer as well. So if we look under the hood, we're doing a lot of research with our current patent for lower limb prosthetic feet, as well as any lower limb prosthetic componentry. Doing a lot of research through printing and having some case trials, case studies being done right now for pediatrics and adults. We have a couple different designs of feet ourselves through fiberglass and carbon fiber. Those will be developed a little bit more as we get it further into it. And I know there's a couple other people out there who are interested in the Mark-forged, carbon fiber, fiberglass technology. We, invite you to definitely chat with us about our experiences with it, as well as, how we would like some of these designs and ways to actually manufacture this to be done. So really cool opportunities for future development with lower limb prosthetic componentry for carbon fiber and fiberglass prosthetic feet. If you'd like to learn more about our research into that, please, request that in the chat here. I can also post some links of our paper that was published in Prosthetics Orthotics International for some of the initial dynamic energy return research that we've done, and a presentation that was done actually at the American Academy of Orthotics and Prosthetics about 2 years ago. I think it was before COVID, so probably 2020, 2019, something around that time. So we're doing a lot of research and development here through Ascent Fab. We also have a silicone prosthetic liner study that will be going on here within the next over the next 2 months. If you're interested in trying out the prosthetic silicone liner, cushion liner, please get in contact with us. We've had a lot of good interest in that one LinkedIn post and Instagram post that I had last week, and it was a wonderful design and pretty durable material as well. So again, a lot of research and development going on here. If you have something that you'd like us to try to start printing and start to develop for you as well, it's something that we can accommodate. So research and development, central fabrication services, going through one-on-one video sessions with people for learning CAD modification software. We're looking at a couple different modification softwares for different applications. One of which we use through PVA Med, their rapid plaster for simple modifications for below knee and above knee prosthetic touch sockets. We're looking at a couple different other companies as well for different modification services. So keep in touch with us if you're looking for more modification things. Last but not least here, we just had a webinar, or we didn't have a webinar, but we were attending a webinar through 3D Heals. They did a wonderful job looking at the different players in the field right now for prosthetics, for 3D printing specifically. And we had PP Print, who again we're partnered with. Spentees, Brian crafted a wonderful job there looking at Spentees software. Take a look at them if you're interested in some upper limb orthotics, as well as some other exciting use cases to come. Brian did allude to some prosthetics at some point here, so we'll keep our ears and eyes posted on that. And we had the Victoria Hand Project too. Kudos to those guys for everything they've done over the past. We've collaborated. Well, I personally have collaborated with Victoria Hand Project for various international opportunities in the past for nonprofit in Haiti specifically. We'll shout out to Cindy and the rest of the Haitian team there. They're doing wonderful work down there in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. So let me just grab an upper limb prosthesis here for you. And until then, we'll take a look at that printing. All right, so just in the last couple minutes here of the video session, just give you a little sneak peek into the Victoria Hand upper limb prosthesis with a mechanical harness. Going through some of the motions here with their device. Simple open and close, move the thumb around. We'll get into more of this soon, but if you're in the US and looking for something more lower cost or for your indigent patients, check out Victoria Hand Project out of Western Canada. And as well on our partners page, there's links there to them and specifications for their different hand specifications here for upper limb prosthetics, transradial, transhumeral. Take a look at those guys. Again, they're doing some great work in a number of different countries, and we love working with those guys. So if you're looking for low cost opportunities for upper limb prosthetics, check them out. Lastly, guys, I'll just say thank you for tuning into this first live Fabrication Friday. Hope you enjoyed that kind of brief introduction of myself and Ascent Fabrication. Again, we look forward to working with you and, collaborating. So our motto here at Ascent Fabrication is that, we're providing high quality devices and design for innovative patient-centric solutions. So we really want to help your patients ascend to new heights. And so that's Ascent Fabrication. So again, thank you very much, everyone. You can get in contact with us through my email, joe@ascentfab.com, our website, ascentfab.com, or LinkedIn or Instagram. Feel free to reach out, and we look forward to chatting with you. So thanks again. Diego, I see you there. Let's get in touch after this. And yeah, we'll talk more. So again, happy Friday, everyone, and have a great weekend from Ascent Fabrication. See ya.